Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and I am going to be doing a character review. I know a lot of people have been waiting for another character review, but it was all shook up because they changed. They made it level 85 for everybody, so there was level increases, and I wanted to get back to level 85. They've introduced a number of new characters. They've introduced new gearing for the characters, and so because of all of that, I kind of wanted to let the dust settle, so to speak, before I started back up with these character reviews. Now I know that there are some character reviews I've done. I've done about, I don't know, 20 or 25 pretty high level characters. And I know that their reviews are going to change slightly because of the re-gearing. And so I will occasionally, from time to time in the future, be doing updated videos. They'll be much shorter, and basically they'll just be adding new relevant information to the existing in-depth character review. And I have a video on Han Solo, but it's really more of just a celebratory, hey, I unlocked Han Solo video. It's not actually an in-depth character review. So the first thing I wanted to say is thank you again to all of my patrons, all the Patreon members who are supporting me. You probably saw their names early on. If you guys want to get involved, make sure that you get involved. You can go to my About section of my YouTube channel to learn more. But what I want more than anything is for people to watch, like, share, and subscribe to these videos, because that is truly how this video channel will grow and how I'll be able to bring more new, relevant, and fun content. I will, by the way, be gone today and tomorrow to Capital Games in California and Sacramento. So I will go dark for a couple of days if I don't respond to messages. It's not me being rude, I promise. It's just me traveling. So let's get started. Han Solo, he's a light side attacker, scoundrel, rebel. I will tell you, scoundrel and rebel tags are phenomenal in the game for the purpose of being utilized in multiple areas of the game. So a scoundrel tag's phenomenal because there are so many areas within the game they need scoundrels, such as, getting your credits, your bots with those events, as well as, there's a mod challenge for that. And then of course, just the credit heist alone, that alone should be the reason why people develop scoundrels. And rebels, there's a massively heavy presence, and I know a lot of people are a little bit discouraged by that. Don't be. There will always be a balance to the force. What that means is they will bring other characters out, and don't forget that as they're bringing out these crazy amounts of rebels, they are bringing out other characters like the shore trooper and the TIE pilot, or the TIE fighter. So they are going to continue to bring out other characters. Just know that the reason why they're a little rebel heavy right now is because of Rogue One. It's a rebel story, so that is why they're bringing out so many rebel characters. And by the way, I'm pretty excited about the new rebel characters. Now Han Solo, for the purposes of this video, and I always say that so you know where I have him based off of where he could go or where he is currently a 7-star, which is maxed. He's also max gear. The only slot that's left for availability prevents him from going to gear 12, which all of them can only max out at gear 11. And I have him at level 85. Now he starts out at an overall power of around 8,200 with all the updates, but with proper modding, you can get him over 9,000 like I did. His base speed is 136. That's average. I wouldn't say that that's lightning fast, and I wouldn't say that he's a slow turd either. You can definitely modify it. Now, anytime a character gets extra turns because of turn meter, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, speed becomes less relevant because they're going to give themselves more turn. For a good example of this is the B2. The B2 does not need any speed at all. Because of his abilities, he gets extra turns. And Han Solo, we'll talk about him, is very similar as well. So his overall power or health is about 17,600. So we'll go through where I have him, how I modded him, that kind of thing here in just a second. But his overall Galaxy Star rating, that's my Galaxy Star rating. And by the way, if you don't know what the Galaxy Star rating is, please go back to my previous videos, watch them, and figure out what it is that I'm going off of. Now, I used my proprietary 7-category system, and he did score horribly on farming, but he scored high in every other category. So he has an overall Galaxy Star rating of 5. Now, he's borderline 5 because of his farming. So where do we farm him? Only one place, the heroic raid the pit, which is the Rancor raid that we all know about. You can only get his shards from there. However, there are many, many, many thousands upon thousands of guilds that now do this raid, and they all have the strategy. And there's a million videos out there on how to solo that raid and things like that with Tebow and other whatnots. So get into a guild that can do a heroic. If you're not in one that doesn't do a heroic, then you're either by choice choosing to give up Han Solo, or you're being patient, or they're just friends and you're accepting the fact that you won't have Han Solo. Now, Han Solo is not an absolute I have to have. If I don't have him, the world's coming to an end. But he's super fun to play and he's very relevant. So I would, if it was me, get into a league. And it's actually the reason why I went to Team Instinct. I was in a league, it was great, or a guild, and it was awesome, but they would only do tier 5. And I love the guys. We were talking every day, we were having a good time. But at the end of the day, I'm playing the game for fun and I'm playing it for me. That's why I play it. It's, a stress relief. It's fun to do. And I couldn't access this guy. And so I had to switch teams. And that's where I went to Team Instinct. And I unlocked him in record time. I think it took me 5 weeks to unlock him. So pretty awesome. That's his overall, overall rating is a 5-star rating. He's definitely, if you can get him, a must-have because he's super fun and a good time. So he's a great attacker. He's actually excellent with all the new gear that just got placed in. He has become more relevant than he was. I know that a lot of people call him a one-trick pony and say that he can't do a whole lot, but that is not the case necessarily if you use him correct. So let's go over the gear. He is at gear 11. This is the max gear. Now, gearing changed. Okay, so the way that gearing used to be, there were averages, how many raid parts it took, how many purple pieces, and now there's gold pieces. So I just want to give you really quick an insight into kind of what's out there as a possibility. So for the raid pieces, every character is either going to have 1 or up to 7 raid gear parts. And he's at 5, which is on the high end of that, okay? So he's going to take a lot of raid gear parts. For gold pieces, the new pieces that just came out, the average for a player, a character, is 220. He's at the max of 440 gold pieces. So he is a beast to have to do your gold because he's at 440. And for purple now, the lowest is only 77 purples. The highest is 1,660. And so the average is going to be 1830. 1830 and 830. And so he's like 1,400 and something purples. So he is on the high end, really high end of purple. He's at the max, worst case scenario on gold, and he's 5 out of 7 raid parts. And so he is probably one of the worst characters to gear and one of the hardest characters to acquire. Those are definitely 2 strikes against him, but once you have him geared up, you will see why he is so relevant in so many facets of the game. Now, I don't have his Deadeye or his Never Tell Me the Odds Omega. I would love to tell you that during this video I had the time, but there are so many characters that you're getting pulled. You want to do this, you want to do that. You got to get your Jawas up for this reason, and you got to get your Jedi up for the new raid, and you've got to get, you get pulled in a million directions. And by the way, that's not a problem just I have. Everybody in the game will have that problem. Even if you spend money, you're still going to have that issue. So that is not, it's never going to change. You have to create your own priority list of what is truly important. Now let's go through his abilities. Quick Draw, I do have Omega. It says it will deal physical damage to a target enemy. This attack is going to deal 50% more damage to any target that has less than 50% turn meter. So 2 things on this. The first is you need to target who is important to target. What I mean is, if you've got somebody across the way that's really, really fast and they're about to go, targeting them isn't going to maximize this ability. You want to target the individual who's got the least amount or under 50% turn meter, so that way it deals 50% more damage. Now, this base attack does between 4 to 4,400 damage. That's a very powerful hit on a basic. And so you're going to get around 6,000 to 7,000 instantly on this hit every time if you're targeting individuals with less than 50% turn meter. Now, there is another caveat to this, which is very cool. You'll always trigger the 50% more damage on your first shot because he has shoot first, which gives him a bonus turn at the start of the encounter, and he only uses his basic. Now, when that happens, turn meter isn't even considered yet. There's no turn meter on the board for any character until he goes, and then once he goes, then the turn meter applies and the game starts. So that means that his quick draw is always on his very first shot going to do the 50% more damage, which is very cool. But you want to make sure when you're playing with him, you are targeting those characters who are below the 50% turn meter threshold. So very cool. Quick draw is awesome. Deadeye has a cooldown of 4, but of course, if you Omega this, it will be 3. So you'll get to use this every third turn. It deals physical damage to a target enemy, and it gains turn meter equal to his critical chance. Now, I want you to remember critical chance is important for him because whatever his critical chance is, that's what he's going to gain on this Deadeye. And you can literally have him go back to back, kind of like people use Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader. And when Darth Vader uses his one ability that puts red over everyone's head, he instantly gets to do the next ability, which is throw his lightsaber. That double stack turn back to back, you can do something very similar by using Deadeye and getting him to be able to do both. So that is really, really, really important that people pay attention to, how they're playing this particular character for that. So Deadeye is awesome. It does a lot of damage. Now, Deadeye is the 5th best top ability. So you've got Rey, who's got these top abilities that smash and hit hard. This is the 5th hardest hitting singular targeted hit in the entire game. And so he's no slouch when he hits people. This is an amazing ability because it's in the top 5 best abilities, and it's between 8 to 8,800 damage. That's a lot. That's almost 9,000. And of course, when he crits, 200% of 9,000 is going to be 18,000, which is pretty amazing. So that is really, really awesome, the Deadeye. And then Never Tell Me the Odds. Now, Never Tell Me the Odds is a very cool ability, and I would definitely Omega this. This will be the next one that I Omega. It says all allies gain critical chance up, which is, a plus 25% to the critical chance, and evasion up, which is plus 25% evasion. For 2 turns. That's a couple of turns that he's going to help people possibly not get hit by damage, and that they have a 25% better chance of actually getting crits. Now, what's cool about that is this adds 25% to him, to himself as well. This is all allies, and that includes himself because it does it for everyone. So if you Omega this, it says he'll have a 50% chance, so, half the time, he's going to gain 45% turn meter. So if you're reading this, you know that Deadeye gives him turn meter, and Never Tell Me the Odds gives himself turn meter. And so that makes him get to go a lot more than a normal character, and because of that, he doesn't have to be as fast as other people because he's going to use one of his abilities, gain turn meter, use one of his abilities, gain turn meter. And so it, in essence, kind of fabricates a faster character through this turn meter gain, if that makes sense. Now, you don't want to completely ignore speed altogether, though. So Never Tell Me the Odds, and then Shoot First. Shoot First has 2 aspects of it. It has his first aspect, which is just a static ability, which gives him a 35% counter chance. That happens no matter what, a third of the time, and 10% critical chance. So this is going to add to his critical chance, which he needs for his other abilities. So that's very important. Now, he has a second ability on Shoot First, which is at the very start of the encounter. It says he takes a bonus turn at the start of the encounter. So he gets to have that bonus turn at the very start of the encounter. During that particular turn, he can only use his basic, but it will stun the target for 1 turn. Now, this doesn't always stun the target, and it does not say, but it will have a chance of stunning the target. So it does frustrate me when this does not stun because they write it in as a guaranteed absolute, yet it does not always happen. But potency can help with that. Now, I do not focus on potency because when I use him, he almost always stuns the individual, and so I'm not too concerned about potency. Some characters work and some don't. He's one of those characters that this particular ability works most of the time, so I'm not too worried about wasting all of my mods on potency for him. If it didn't work, maybe, but if it didn't work, I probably wouldn't like him nearly as much. So this bonus turn at the start of each encounter is going to stun the target, And remember, it's going to be quick draw that he gets to use, which is going to deal 50% more damage with people with less turn meters. So that's pretty awesome. So though that's his skill set, that's his toolkit, so to speak. Now, how do you use his toolkit? You're going to want shoot first automatically applies, right? He's going to have the counter chance, the critical chance up, and he's going to have, it's plus 10% critical chance and that bonus encounter. But never tell me the odds, in my opinion, would be the very first thing you want to do. First off, it has the longest cooldown, so you're going to want to use it first to start that cooldown process if you're in a battle. The second is the first thing you want to do is protect your team and make your team hit harder. So the evasion up is going to protect your team, and the critical chance up is going to help them hit harder against the opponents. The other thing is when you do this, he's going to get turn meter potentially, and that's going to lead him to have another turn and be able to use those other abilities that he has. Now, this is the other reason why never tell me the odds is important. You use this first, it gives him critical chance up, plus 25%, right? Plus, he gets plus 10% critical chance here. So that's plus 35% critical chance. Now, Deadeye says that he deals damage and gains turn meter equal to his critical chance. So if you use his never tell me the odds first, you're guaranteeing plus 35% more turn meter when he uses this ability. So you don't want to use Deadeye until you've used never tell me the odds, so that way you can maximize this ability, and then he'll go Deadeye, and then he'll get to use his basic ability. Plus, that also helps cool down the cooldowns, like speed up the cooldowns, because you're doing the turns faster. And then you can get back to never tell me the odds faster, which is exactly the point. So I would definitely say never tell me the odds first, and then you can do Deadeye. And so you see critical chance is a key component for him. And so you really want to have a high critical chance. Now, you don't have to get totally crazy and try and get 100% critical chance. That's just silliness. But you do want it over 50%, because once he adds his 35% to that, it'll boost it to 85%. And 85% critical chance is virtually going to be 100% of the time. You pretty much will almost never see him not crit. So that is why you'll want to put it where you put it. So let's go ahead and see how I modded him and then where he's currently at right before we take him for a test drive. So you can see for set bonuses, I did critical chance, 5%. That would be a good thing for him, right? Because of critical chance being an important thing for turn meter. And I did critical damage, which gives him plus 30% critical damage. We know he's going to crit, so now let's maximize the damage that he's doing while he's critting. So those are the two I went with. Now, that does leave him vulnerable for being squishy and dying easier, so that is a little bit of a problem you got to consider. So the top left transmitter, you are always going to be on offense for a primary stat, but I did put in this one because it did have a little bit of health and protection. Nothing to write home about, but it is okay. And I was trying to build a set. Now I'm again using I use the Wigs combo in the arena, and of course they steal all the very best of my critical chance and critical damage mods. And so this is what I have left over, and this is what I used for him. If you could get for secondary stats, speed, health, and protection, those would really be the three things that you're going to want to add as secondaries to these. So health, protection are both on this mod, so that's why I picked it. On the middle left, the processor, of course, it's always a primary stat of defense, but look at the secondary stats. Protection, protection, speed. So it was the protection that I was looking for, and it's over 1,000 protection. That's not bad at all. And plus 3 speed. Anytime you can help speed up a character, that's not a bad thing. On the bottom left, this will be health or protection as a primary stat. This data bus, I chose protection. Again, protection is always going to be a better bang for your buck, so that's why I used it. You can also see there is some potency, some defense, and speed. Speed's great, and remember, when he shoots, he's going to do a negative status effect essentially with that stun, and so the potency does not hurt, although I don't focus on the potency, but if you can get it in secondary stats, then not a big deal. Now the top right, one, I didn't have a speed mod to put here, but two, he's known as a damage dealer. He's an attacker, and you may not get more than a couple of turns with him, especially if you're using him in arena. So that is why, because he gets extra turn meter and he boosts himself up in speed like that with extra turn meter, I went ahead and went with offense. But if you look, he also got 8 speed as a secondary, which is nothing that's not bad at all. That's actually really good. So I'm boosting up his overall offense, which is, it's almost 6% offense. That's really good. And then 8 speed, plus I gave him more health and protection. So this is not a bad receiver at all. And I would say if you're going with an attacker, sometimes bucking the norm on mods and doing something crazy like adding an offense stat in here is not a bad idea. And then of course for his hollow array, I did critical damage. Now again, it's only a 3 dot, so it's not plus 36% critical damage. It's only plus 26%. And so the overall mod is kind of mediocre, but I'm working with what I have, and all my other critical damage are on other more important characters. But it does give him some more offense, some more health, and some more potency. So that is pretty cool for secondary stats. And the bottom right, traditionally in this, I would put potency or tenacity, because that's really the only place you can put potency or tenacity. But again, he's an attacker. I'm looking for him to hit hard, especially he gets that first shot off. He can devastate a team with that stun and with that first shot. But he does, this adds some more secondary stats of speed, which is always good, and some more health and defense. So these mods are not bad. They're good. They're not as good as they could be, but they're not bad at all either. So let's see where this brought him. So let's go ahead and look at his overall stats. So he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. He's got great strength, great agility, and he's even over 500 on intelligence. And of course, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but intelligence for him affects special damage and resistance, but for other people, intelligence will increase physical damage, special damage, and resistance. So you got to pay attention to this, because intelligence doesn't increase physical damage on everybody, but it does increase it on some characters. So you really got to pay attention. Now he only does physical damage, and so the intelligence is really there for the resistance. And then the agility, which is his highest, is for the physical damage. And so you can see his health and protection. I did not get either one of them very high. You can see I only added about 67, 6,800, which is not a lot at all. But he's almost at 40,000. So he's probably not going to be one shot by anybody unless it's Biggs triple shot combo, and then there's a chance they'll take him completely out. But he gets to shoot first, so he could stun Biggs. So that's pretty cool as well. That will help them skip, especially if you're going against an extremely fast team, help them skip their turn. Or you could stun Han Solo and prevent their entire team from getting to take turns. There's a lot of benefits with him. Now, I did bump his speed up 19, which is not bad. He's over 150 speed, which is okay. At the highest level of competition, this wouldn't be acceptable. You'd want some higher level secondary speeds, but for where I am at, it's not bad at all. His critical damage, of course, could be up to 216 right now, but it's at 206 because of the mods, but I got it raised by 56. That's pretty good. Potency is low to begin with, but again, his stun seems to work, so I'm not too concerned. And his tenacity, he's gonna, avoid those negative status effects about a third of the time, which isn't bad. He does have health steal, which is awesome. 10% is good. That's an average health steal for those characters who do have it, which means every time he does damage, and by the way, he does a lot, he will gain 10% of that back. So if he shoots and does 20,000, he gets 2,000 health back. That's a big bonus back to him, which is pretty cool. Physical damage, you can see I focused on that right with those offense mods. I got it over 400 added, which puts him to almost 2,700. That's a heavy hitter. It's pretty awesome. And his physical critical chance is 58. I only boosted it by 5%, so you may be wondering why I only boosted it by 5%. With mods, but 58%, plus he's going to boost it another 10% automatically with his unique, which puts him at almost 70%, right? And then he's going to do the Never Tell Me the Odds, giving himself plus 25%, which puts him at 94% or something like that, which is virtually going to be almost 100% of the time. And it's almost 100% turn meter when he gets his turn meter on his second ability. So that anything over 50% is really all you need. And he naturally has that. That is what's so amazing about him. His armor penetration is not bad either. At 89, he's going to completely ignore 89 points of armor. So that's awesome. And his armor rating is almost at 30%, which isn't horrible. His initial armor rate's kind of low, but for an attacker, it's not bad. He ignores almost a third of the damage that people do to him with physical damage. So that's pretty cool. This isn't going to help when he goes against someone like Palpatine, though, who does special damage. It's only going to help with people like Rey, who does physical damage. And then, of course, his special damage and special critical chance, he doesn't do that. So these are unnecessary stats. Not sure why they're even in play. And then, of course, he has some resistance, which is his ability to survive the special damage. So this is going to be kind of like the armor is for physical damage, but it's his ability to resist like the Emperor Palpatine's, well, not resist, but reduce that damage that he takes from Emperor Palpatine and other characters. So there he is. He's maxed out. I want to take him for a test drive so you can really, truly see what he's all about. And probably one of the best places to check him out, let's get this before it goes away, is... let's do mod challenges. And I like mod challenges because they're a 5-round battle. So you really get to see what they're all about. And I do not want to sim. I don't know why I always do that. So these are who I have. And it makes sense for Lando to be the lead. He's a great leader. And Han Solo isn't a leader. And we should probably have a tank in there. And of course, we want Han Solo to show him off. And then, of course, we'll use... couple other characters who are not going to hopefully die in this process. By the way, look at all of these scoundrels. That is so awesome. They've given us a huge assortment of scoundrels to play with, so that's pretty awesome. So let's battle away and let me show you what he's all about. All right, so there you go. Look at the turn meter. No turn meter, no turn meter, no turn meter, no turn meter. Why? Because this happens before it actually takes place. So on his basic called Quick Draw, it says if they have less than 50% turn meter, you get to do 50% more damage. So he, without critting, is going to do about 7. With critting, he's going to do about 12 to 14,000. So this first hit should do 12 to 14,000 damage. And he did 18,800. On his first shot, eliminating the opponent from even playing. Goodbye. That's awesome. We won't use his taunt yet. Wow, he has high damage variance, which is really cool. What that means is he's going to vary in how much he does. He just did over 9,000 on a basic, so that's pretty cool. And he did 13,000 on a basic. What is going on? My guys are hitting pretty dang hard. But yeah, I want him to go again. By the way, I want to showcase his other abilities, but I got to get into probably Battle 3 to really showcase that. But I will use his basic again, because now I want to show you his basic without it being his unique ability, which was shoot first. Whack! 17k. Again, very cool. So here's a couple of big hitters. This is a new engagement. So if you look, everybody across the way doesn't have any turn meter at all again, and I get to go ahead and cherry pick who I want to destroy. Whack! Almost 19k. This guy's going to be a problem. Let's take him out. And let's do his second. Well, we'll do his basic. Round 3 should be a whole lot harder. And I really want a challenge so we can use them. There's 4 people. Again, they have no turn meter. Let's just pick this guy off. Whack! 18k. I'm not going to use their abilities very much. He gets turn meter too, which is pretty cool. And he countered, so that's his unique ability. 35% of the time he counters. So that is really awesome. And he hasn't even gone yet. So now, if we go ahead and use this, never tell me the odds. This is the one that I would recommend. It's going to give everybody that critical chance up, 25% chance up, which is going to pretty much guarantee everyone's critting from here on out. And evasion up, so hopefully they'll evade. And when I use his second ability, he's going to get pretty much a guaranteed another turn within one, let's see. He's pretty tanky. We'll hit him. I want to be able to showcase this ability. So let's use his second ability and watch what happens to his turn meter. Whack! 23,000. 23,000 plus. And he's already almost ready to go again. I mean, he's literally going to go next after Han Solo for my characters. And there he goes. He gets to go again. So he did not crit, and he did 77, over 7,700 damage without a critical. That's still a lot of damage. All right, it gets to go again. Of course, we keep our turn meter. You can see my turn meter is continuing from battle to battle, but the people we're going against don't have it. And so, of course, his ability prevents their turn meter from affecting until he takes a shot. Then once he takes a shot, it comes into play. So let's go ahead and stun the Imperial officer. Oh, just kill him. Why not? Okay. We'll do evasion down. And you can see he can kind of take a punch. So let's go ahead and use this again, giving everybody those abilities again. And there you go, plus 25% critical chance and plus 15% evasion chance. I think earlier I may have misspoken and said 25% evasion. I did not mean that if I said that. Because I know that it's 15% evasion. Basically, it gives them Obi-Wan's ability, you know, the ability to evade 15%. But yes, 25% critical chance. So pretty awesome, and everybody gets that ability, so that is cool. And their tank taunts, and that is fine. Also, I'd like to take Zam up higher so I could really see what she is like maxed out, because she's starting to show promise the higher I take her. She's just been recently reworked anyway. I think the rework that they did is going to be great. Now there's a Han and I have a Han. He gets to shoot first. And that is unfortunate because when you have two of them, they defer to the opponent. But now I get to do mine. And I stunned him. So that's good. We each got our shot first and we each got a stun. And there's hits for a lot. There are Han Solo hits for a lot, but still he's not going to hold a candle to what we're about to do. There's his special, and he's already got enough turn meter. He almost gets to go again. This is where critical chance is important, because when his critical chance is up, he's going to gain that extra turn meter. So we'll go ahead and throw that on everybody. And here's his basic. Wow, he's got high armor rate. That was a critical for only about 10 or 11,000. So that particular PvE character must have had some pretty high armor rate. Well, that's good, and I got a Mark III. You need those Mark IIIs for sure. It seems like I'm always out of those as well. So there you go. There you have it. What are your thoughts on Han Solo? You can see my Han Solo is in my top 2 rows of most powerful characters. And so you can see once you max him out how great he is. If you use his toolkit properly, he's definitely viable in Galactic War, Arena, mod table for doing that mod challenge. He's great for, light side. He's also just fun to play anytime there is a scoundrel event. What are your thoughts on Han Solo? Leave them in the comments down below. Also, if you happen to have any questions for Capital Games, not EA, but Capital Games, I can't guarantee I can answer all of them, and they may not answer them. They have the right to say, no, we're not responding to that. But if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.